Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. This might be my favorite Panerai launch in a long time. Launched in 2021 and limited in volume, if not actual production numbers, this is the Panerai Luminor 1950 Perpetual Calendar Platinumtech PAM00715, and it is made of Platinumtech, a harder alloy of ultra-white platinum that is designed to be more resistant to scratches, scuffs, and swirls than traditional PT950. So you get a higher degree of resilience, but still that impressive feel on the wrist and in the hand that you associate with platinum. Now, the watch is 44 millimeters in diameter. It is 15.4 millimeters thick, and then from lug tip to lug tip, 53.4 millimeters across the wrist with a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see we're probably at the limit of what's possible. So you're going to want a wrist of my size or bigger to wear this watch well. You can see that it's fairly thick, so jackets might be fine, but probably not tight dress sleeves. It does feel impressive. Platinum is always a surprise. It's always heftier than you imagine because it's something we encounter so infrequently, and even compared to tantalum or white gold, platinum still feels special. Eyes closed, you know it's different. Same thing with the strap. The Decima Mas Italian frogmen operating the SLC manned torpedoes on the bottom of harbors in World War II never had it so good. This is the highest grade of alligator leather, truly large symmetrical scales, semi-gloss finish, a little bit of a gradient from light to dark, a contrasting stitch, a folded edge, and some stuffing or bolstering to give these straps volume. You can see calf skin on the bottom. Though the watch is Swiss made, the strap is made in Italy, the ancestral home of the Officine Panerai brand, and you can see there's a little 1970s era OP above and below the wave double arrow logo there. We have a buckle here, which you will note is in white gold, as the Platinumtech is reserved for the case itself. And just to make sure, you can see it is PT950. I don't want you to think that this is something like PT900, which is a harder but less pure grade of platinum that's sometimes used, for example, on Grand Seiko and Crador clasps. Right here, this is still PT950. It is the other materials added to the alloy in this case that add all of the resilience and the hardness to this Platinumtech. It is a hand-finished watch, rare at Panerai, where mechanical manufacturing is usually the rule of the day. And you can see that the hand finishing is a sort of black polishing on every surface of the case. It is a Luminor 1950 case, which means it's similar to the historic 6152 combat watches and the great PAM007 of 2002 that reintroduced this more historically true case shape back in 2002. So we have the device protecting the crown here in platinum. It's all satinated to contrast with the polish of the case. A locking lever with a little bearing in its cam. This was invented by the historic Panerai company to provide an alternative to screw-down Rolex manufactured oyster crowns, because the original Panerai watches were made by Rolex, so they used oyster cases and oyster crowns. And threading the crown in and out on a daily basis to wind a manual watch would compromise the already tenuous 30-meter water resistance of those original pieces. So the locking lever, which compresses and decompresses the seal, was invented. First of all, it's harder to drown your watch by jumping into the water with your crown unlocked here. This is a great red flag. Also, it is a design icon, as you can immediately tell what this watch is, both brand and model line. It also offers more protection against a blunt impact than a traditional shouldered crown guard, because a head-on, parallel knock is not going to damage this crown, whereas with crown guards, you don't have protection against that square blow. And of course, with the bearing inside the cam, you get a smoother action, and it's easy to lock and unlock the crown when your hands might be wet, sweaty, or gloved. What appears at first glance like it might be a plexiglass is actually a piece of sapphire, but that is the idea. It is designed to look like a vintage plexi. The dial is sandwich construction, which means you have a stencil with the numerals and the indices on top of a solid disc of lume. Historically, this is how many Panerai combat watch era dials were made. Today, construction is similar. It's not exactly identical, but it has the same effect of creating wonderful luminescence and a pronounced impression of depth to all of the luminescent elements because they sit inside wells. You can also appreciate that there's a lot of luminescence on this dial, both for the time, hours, minutes, and seconds, and then there is an AM/PM indicator for the second time zone, which you could see right here. When I move the hour hand out of the way, you can see that the second time zone, along with its AM/PM indicator, visible in the dark. So this is a well-loomed watch. And just so you know, people will ask, there's no luminescence on the back. Panerai sometimes does that. So we have a second time zone that can be hidden when not desired to clean up the dial. Now they're both 12-hour hands. So what we do is we have a little AM/PM indicator. You can see that triangular index indicating PM. So you know, for example, that that secondary time zone is pointing to 5 in the evening. So that's how that works. We have that second time zone, and we also have a feature of which I am particularly fond, which is a zero reset hacking seconds system. So if you watch, you can see how it not only stops the seconds hand when I pull the crown out, but it resets it to the index at 60, so it's easier to synchronize to a reference time. Now this watch is not just a power reserve, which it is. You can see the power reserve indicator for the 3-day power reserve on the reverse side. It's not just a second time zone with an AM/PM, though it is that as well. And it's not just a day date, it is a perpetual calendar, something that Panerai has rarely done, only a handful of times, mostly on the Panerai Ferrari watches of the 2000s. So we have a day and a date on a lovely sunburst metallic green dial with rose gold hands, and then matching olive green day and date discs. This is where a lot of companies go off the rails. The discs match the dial. It's a very easy watch to set. If you want to set the date, you just advance forward or backwards. And you can see how I'm able to ratchet, if I wish, the day. And you note how I am switching between the 5th and the 6th over and over again, even as the day advances. Because this perpetual calendar is wheel-driven, you can set it bidirectionally with no hazard. So let's say I want to set everything in sync. Well, I can easily do that. All I have to do is advance the 2 time zones together, and you can watch as everything changes, just like that. And I can advance and retard without damaging the watch. Also, because it's a wheel-driven system, I can adjust the calendar around midnight and after dark without any danger to the perpetual calendar mechanism. Now, turning it over, we can see caliber 4100. This is based on the 4000 micro rotor that debuted back in late 2014. So you get a thinner movement in spite of all of its complications, and it has many, plus 2 stacked mainspring barrels. It's only 7 millimeters thick, though you can see it's broad, so it fills the case back. So we have a gold micro rotor, which you'll note is 22 carats, not 21, not 18, not tungsten. You can see it has many finishings. We have the year with the decade and the century and the millennium. We have the month and the leap year indication, coaxial. This is a 55 joule movement that's braced against shock with a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance that beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. This is a Panerai exclusive movement, so you see the little OP logo on the base plate. And the timepiece, of course, being a perpetual calendar, does not need to be reset until the year 2100. It's got that 3-day power reserve, and it is handsomely decorated and protected down to 50 meters. And with a locking crown and a 50-meter water resistance, you will be able to swim with this watch on the surface. Just take note, you're going to want to change the strap. And I'm happy to report here, no spring bars present. We have conventional Panerai strap bars and screws. So with your jeweler's screwdriver, you can swap out the strap, and strap swapping is a key part of the Panerai experience. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of the Platinumtech PAM00715.